Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Freaky Fast Broadcasting on your Thursday night. It's the Stars and Stripes Series, Season 7 playoff time. It's the first round, the round of 12, for our first race to see who can set up for a chance to move on to our Elite 8. As the drivers get prepared for tonight's race at Rockingham, it's the American 150 as the drivers get prepared for the Rock. Short track racing for a mile length distance, and drivers are going to have to handle this very bumpy and difficult course for 150 laps. It's one of the few tracks that have been ran every single season. What can tonight bring for the field? Well, once again, welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name is Sam Dyer. Joining me up the booth, like always, is Zach Hall. And Zach, spectacular finish that we got last week. One of the best finishes you could ever ask for at Talladega, where Zach Kreitz gets himself into the playoffs. But man, how do you go from that type of a race to this to start the playoffs off?
It is definitely going to be a wild start here, man. After, arguably, like we said, one of the best finishes of all time. There was Zach Kreitz getting his way into this round of 12, and we started off with the bumpy, abrasive, tricky racetrack at the Rockingham Speedway in Rockingham, North Carolina. I'm very interested to see how this race plays out. It's going to take these drivers a lot of just overall finesse tonight. This track is one of the most odd tracks out there, Sam. It's going to take figuring out the line, figuring out how these tires work, but we should have a good race on our hands to start these playoffs.
A narrow track if things go bad on the back stretch and through the corners. The front stretch is not straight. There's a little bit of a kink the drivers are going to have to deal with. And currently, they are underway with qualifying as Kyle McCoy topping the board currently. But there's some other favorites that are waiting in the wings to attack to take that top spot, such as the likes of Joshua Robinson, who's gotten the pole here the last 2 seasons, trying to go for 3 in a row at Rockingham, but yet to win. And surprisingly enough, trying to lead some of his first laps at this track. He's got the qualifying pace, but Zach, it's a driver that we know can be quick at short tracks. That 30 machine needs a good run here tonight.
He really does, and this is the type of track that, in my opinion, always seems to suit him. Those odd style tracks just seem to be Joshua Robinson's right in his wheelhouse, and even the short tracks. So I expect him to be good here tonight, but you never know with him. He's kind of hit or miss usually. So we'll see how he starts his playoffs this round here. But at the moment, still Kyle McCoy topping the board. And Ross Tatum, a great time for himself. But we're looking at right now the 22 of Robert Sherwood putting down his laps. I believe he's already got his 2 qualifying laps and just getting a little bit of extra practice here for himself, Sam.
It's kind of needed. Rob Sherwood's missed the majority of the season. Thought he was going to do just a one-off late race for the 22, but he has shown up for Rockingham, and we hope to see Rob for the rest of the season as another driver who's just getting some laps in, but has already put in all of his time, so they've been validated. That being Brian Burchett, who's kind of going with the tactic of just settle in, get yourself prepared for the race as you get as many laps in as possible, as Joshua Robinson's first lap across the line, setting up for lap number 2 in the 30, comes off with a heater as it is already going to bounce him up to 10th. June White takes the top of the board for that of the 09, and June White, one of the fastest drivers this season, 5 poles so far for the 09, looking for pole number 6, but he's got to beat the 30 machine of Joshua Robinson, taking it high on the entry, staying middle through the exit, and the 30 machine is pole on the window as he's gaming for his 3rd in a row here at Rockingham, and it looks to be short for Robinson, only able to get up to 10th that go around.
No pickup for him on that second lap, Sam, so just didn't get the grip together. But June White, a whole 10th of a second between him and Kyle McCoy. That is a smashing lap there out of the 09 to put it on pole here in the first race of the round of 12.
An incredible start for himself as we have our field entering tonight. Going to be 23 drivers in total, and it's the start of the playoffs. 12 drivers made the playoffs, and it's going to be Scott Rickard, June White, Diego Valle, Joshua Robinson, Ross Tatum, Thomas Ogle, Chris Worrell, Kyle McCoy, James Lowe, that of Zach Kreitz, Kyle Bowling, and Dylan Grimm. Those 12 drivers running here for 150 laps at Rockingham. The first race of 2 in this round. Let's take a look at how they're going to be starting here tonight after our qualifying results. June White is going to take the top spot for the 09 machine in the pole position. That of Kyle McCoy is going to find himself in 2nd place to start out tonight. Ross Tatum going to be in 3rd, Diego Valle in 4th, Kyle Bowling is going to be in 5th, Andrew Hess, a very sad, disappointing exit, not even able to make the playoffs, going to be starting in 6th place. But Dylan Grimm in 7th, Thomas Ogle 8th, 9th goes to Scott Rickard, and Joshua Robinson finishing out our top 10.
In the 11th position, it's going to be the 3 of Christian Lawson. 12th is going to go to the 99 of James Lowe. 13th is going to be the 5 of Trey Jackson. 14th is going to be the 24 of Brian Lynch. 15th is going to go to Zach Kreitz with the 6 car of Chris Worrell starting back in 16th. 17th is going to go to Robert Sherwood. 18th is going to be the 65 of George Kovacic, with 19th place being held by Aaron Hill. Rounding out the top 20 is going to be Jason Gratton, with Nate Lynch starting 21st. 22nd is going to be Brian Chu, and rounding out our 23 car field here is Brian Burchett, as we got a little bit bigger field here this week, Sam.
A little bit of a bigger field than what we've seen in the past, but we love to see when the field's a little bit bigger in the playoffs. It gives them more opportunities to gain or lose points. If you're having a bad day, you can lose a lot, and if you're needing a massive push, and every little point possible is so crucial. As tonight's race, again, going to be 150 laps. No stage break, no fast repairs to work with 4 extra sets of tires to work with in pit road, as they also have the set that they race here tonight. Total of 5. June White having a little bit of blinking issues, hoping that's going to get fixed up. But a lot of our playoff contenders already starting up front. This is usually what you expect. The cream rising to the top of your contenders once you make it to the playoff time. But curious to see what the kind of underdog, the Cinderella stories, how is Zach Kreitz going to recover starting all the way back in 15th place, and some of the other drivers looking for a good run. The 99 of James Lowe, a lot of storyline, Zach's, of how can those back marker drivers, or drivers that need some solid days, can recover.
That is exactly right. It's going to be interesting to see how they start out their night here at the Rock, and I'm also very interested in how the strategy is going to play out here tonight, Sam. Remember, no stage yellows here at Stars and Stripes. It's 150 laps straight all the way to the end of this race. It's going to be fun to see who can get that strategy right and play the perfect cards.
Pace car pulls into pit road, into the restart zone, and the Stars and Stripes Season 7 playoffs are underway for the American 150 at Rockingham. It's Kyle McCoy, the 3-time champ, June White on the inside, side by side as they go through 1 and 2, and it's White with the nose ahead pulling away.
Great launch out of 2 there from June White. That's an excellent job by him to already get that lead and have the clean air out front. But it's going to be Kyle McCoy under attack from the teammate of June White, the 68 of Valle, as it's side by side farther back. Ross Tatum ripping the top.
Ripping the top and trying to find the comfort zone is what these drivers are searching for. Is it the inside? Is it the outside? Where do you find the speed? And how do you also protect your tires? Again, these drivers searching for every little bit of speed as lap 1 goes to June White. And exit at turn number 4, looking like June White's going to be aiming for another lap for himself as the rest of the field stay in line. A little bit of side-by-side, deeper in the field. It's all June White for now.
All June White up front leading the way here to the opening 3 laps. Is looks like everybody having a tough time off of 2. That's going to be the spot to watch out for, folks. Off of 2, this track is so narrow. It just tightens up so quickly, and it's due to the D-shaped side of it. And when you have that straight back straightaway, that's a much tighter radius on the exit, and it makes things happen very, very quickly. So watch out for turn 2 to be, as they would say, calamity corners. Right now, Ross Tatum trying to find the grip up top.
Trying to find the grip. Once again, a little bit of a shimmy with these Gen 4 Cup cars. That little shimmy in other vehicles would be a good sign that you're losing momentum. With the Gen 4, with the amount of horsepower you have, and that's just the sign you're trying to carry as much speed as possible off the exit of the corner as Ross keeps his position. And these drivers coming into tonight, there was a little bit of discussions going on over that of Discord trying to figure out, where do you find speed? How do you protect your tires? Ross Tatum still feeling confused on how that of the Grim Roberts racing team with June White and Diego Valle, how they just protect their tires so well. And fuel is, oh no, a little bit of contact going on between Diego Valle and Ross Tatum. Exit of the corner, and the 68 and the 21 somehow keep it straight after a very rare bump to the rear bumper in the front, and someone holding on.
Ooh, that was so close to being terrible for both of those drivers who are playoff contenders, who don't need something like that to happen to them here in the round of 12. But luckily, great save from Valle, great job by Ross Tatum to back out of that situation and not cause any more of an issue than what it was already. So riding on board here with Thomas Ogle in the 8th position. You can see Tatum still up there trying to work that outside groove. and he's doing it to good avail. That outside, it works, Sam. I'm just interested to see how well will the tires last up there in that top groove.
Yeah, and it kind of talks over to talking about tires. That was going to continue on the discussion about. They were having a huge discussion between Ross Tatum and June White on tires and fuel. How do you work on saving them with this type of car? Because some drivers feel like you can't save anything really. Others feel like, hey, there's good ways to save fuel and tires. I mean, Zach, this car is so different from anything else that we're running. I know you run on Wednesday nights with the WSSR series that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, but is there any tactics that you can bring to this car at this track to save tires or fuel?
It's really the biggest thing for me is, first off, you can lift earlier, which always helps not only tire wear, but helps fuel mileage. You know, the sooner you're off that throttle pedal, the less fuel that's being squirted into the fuel injectors and going through that engine. So that's definitely a great way to save fuel there. Not only that, but just coast farther into the corner. Wait a little bit longer to get on that gas. Don't, go for the qualifying lap where you jump in the gas at this point. Wait 50 foot down the road. Wait that little bit extra time and actually feather the throttle and be very gentle with it, not getting the car sideways at the same time. And it's crazy. You'll be surprised how much more fuel you can burn in these cars by going out there and driving them hard compared to really driving them very lightly. You can save up to multiple gallons per run.
Yeah, that's some great news if you're trying to save fuel, if you're going to be tackling these courses with this vehicle or any vehicle out in the sim world. As right now watching this back, and these are drivers inside of our top 10. This is incredible to see. This is from second all the way back to 10th place on top of one another, and in the mix, running probably the highest lane that I've seen anyone run right now. It's the 05 of Scott Rickard, who's been Mr. Consistent this season. You look at the stats, he is the only driver with 10 plus finishes inside of the top 5 and inside of the top 10 this season. It's kind of a boom or bust. He's got 11 top 5s and 11 top 10s. But man, has he been consistent this season on being up front. The wins haven't been there, but finishing inside the top 5 is exactly what you need to at least give yourself a chance to run for a championship and get through these rounds.
That's exactly right. If you run top 5 like that in each and every race in these rounds, you're more than likely going to move on, because, there's going to be drivers that point their way in. That's just how the format is going to work. There's not enough races for drivers to win their way in and take away those spots from drivers who earn it the points way. So I think Scott Rickard, with that consistency, if he can carry that, he'll be looking very, very strong as we're watching Ross Tatum start to put the pressure on Kyle McCoy with this outside line. And the one thing that's interesting to see here, Sam, we see this group all grouped up together, but our leader is almost 3 seconds out in front of this group. June White has put the afterburners on and hasn't looked back.
And what's hilarious, June White might be that far ahead, but he might be the one driver that might have been saving the most fuel over anyone else. That's crazy to think, but that's been what this season's been all about for this 09. He's been so fast, but so good at saving fuel and tires that no one has been able to touch this 09 for most of the season. That's why June White is tied with 3 wins with his teammate Diego Valle at 3 at the most this season on all those wins, and still searching for as many bonus points as possible. And you get a win, you don't have to worry about next week at Charlotte Oval being our next race. And the cutoff race before we go to the Elite 8, the next round for these drivers, well, they'll be heading to that of New Hampshire and Kansas before we figure out our 4 drivers that will run for a championship at Auto Club. And this is the type of racing June White's hoping for. To be up front, have no competition, but everyone else behind this 09 is dealing with a huge threat. Ross Tatum, Kyle McCoy, they're back at it again, side by side.
That they are. Those guys are going at it back there for that second position as Tatum has finally cleared. And it's going to be Grimm also in the 23, who, not surprised to see the 23 up towards the front of this field. He's been very, very good at these style tracks, in my opinion. It just seems like these are the tracks that fit him, and in the past he's done well here at Rockingham. So not surprised to see him right back up in the mix and right there moving up into the 3rd position, taking it from a past champion and Kyle McCoy.
And Kyle McCoy also is a driver that's won here twice in the past, back in season 5 and season 1. He's led the most laps also multiple times in the past. He's just a driver that knows how to be consistent. Dylan Grimm, always a driver that can find the speed late in the season, it seems like. He's always preparing to make the playoffs, and then once he's in the playoffs, it's a surge and a surge to make that final 4. And Right now, a huge wiggle by Ross Tatum. That's the advantage the 23 is looking for. Any little bit of a mistake's going to assist you on making a pass. As the 23 sends it down low, Ross defends by being aggressive on the outside of the 21. Keeps his foot on the throttle and keeps second place.
Great job there to defend that, as the 23 is looking mighty quick right now as he's trying to wrap that bottom groove, get the run off. But you can see off of 2, just not enough grip there to put the power down. Ross able to really get a better acceleration off that top side and carry his momentum as they go down into 3 and 4. We'll see, does that same thing play out, or does the bottom work better? No, it seems like the top a little better in 3 and 4. The bottom can hang in there a little bit better in 2, but it's definitely going to be tough to make passes on the bottom here.
Yeah, it's getting difficult, especially now that we're 21 laps into the run. Drivers, it's more of if they make a mistake on the outside, on if they're going to lose that spot. And I think that's exactly what Grimm got. A mistake by Ross Tatum off the exit of 2, give him plenty of space, take that second position, and Grimm on the attack now. But the gap between second to first, almost 4 seconds now. The battling and the slowing down between one another is incredible to see the speed difference that's going on right now.
It really is, and you got guys like Tom Ogle who's coming through the pack too. Is looks like different agendas, Sam. I mean, I was looking at some data. I had, the WSSR series raced here, and I was fortunate to race in there, so I had a little bit of fuel data from that race. Looked at it, and you can go about 69 to 70 laps on race pace. Now that's setting you up for being about 5 laps short from making it to that halfway point of this race to make a one-stop happen. So we could be having those people try to save that fuel to make the one-stop happen, or we'll see some drivers elect to do that two-stop, of course.
Also, another thing with that WSSR race is we saw it was around 30 to 35 laps, sometimes even to 40 laps before the tire wear difference really kicked in. If those were being too aggressive, to those that were being a little bit more gentle on their tires on the attack, and we're already starting to see that swing showing as well. As for Thomas Ogle, big scare about a lap or 2 ago, coming off of 2. He got right in the back bumper of Scott Rickard and almost found himself getting rear-ended by Kyle Bowling. Instead, they all single file out, and it's time to settle in, find your own groove. As Scott Rickard's trying to aim for his second championship in his Stars and Stripes career, as he's trying to run down the 3-time champ of Kyle McCoy. And McCoy has just been so good when we get to the playoffs and around this momentum time. It's really seasons where he's not even competing for the whole entire playoffs, so we know the 7 doesn't have a chance for their championship, but it's good to see the past champions really showing their strengths. As Diego Valle now in 4th position, the biggest loser so far of those that started inside of the top 10, trying to find himself moving forward now, if possible, for the 68.
That he is trying to move forward, and if I'm a good betting man or a guessing man, I would say that 68 is going for a one-stop. I think that's why you're seeing him drop back, lose these spots, and I think his teammate June White might be elected to do the 2-stop. It's just with the speed he's showing, it's going to be hard, I think, to save 5 laps of fuel. As it looks like now Kyle McCoy trying to get back by Ross Tatum, a little loose off of 2. Now that opens the door. Scott Rickard going to take advantage of this, and Rickard keeps marching his way forward. But and Rickard into the wall, though. That's going to give him a huge loss of momentum, and maybe the 7's going to be able to clear up, but not enough.
Not enough, and sometimes if you hit the wall at certain spots on the track, as long as you just graze it, sometimes actually assist you work that nose a little bit quicker. I think that might have been assisting Scott Rickard, as they just are looking wild and out of control every time off the exit of the corner. And when you see drivers side by side, you just know one bad, a little bit of overcorrection. They find a little bit of grip when they're turning in the wrong way, either into the outside wall or into another driver. You got to be careful with one another, as talking about drivers maybe saving fuel, getting a little bit too aggressive on the saving mode. Andrew Hess started in 6th place. He's all the way down in 17th position. He's been on an aggressive save mode for our last season champion.
I think it is. I mean, he's almost 10 seconds behind the leader now, Sam. So that's a huge loss of time for Andrew Hess, and still got to feel for him who didn't move on to the next round with Zach Kreitz getting that win. He was the odd man out there, being 12th in the points, so knocked him out. But going for a different strategy because he's got nothing to lose, baby.
And we're looking at the different strategies. This is what Stars and Stripes turns into. Is who's got the better strategy to go with? Is it the 1-stop, the 2-stop? Some drivers always throw in the 3-stop when you go 1.5 mile tracks, and It's an interesting way that you see drivers on how they attack these different strategies as we're 31 laps in of 150. The field's got to be thinking, okay, June White, obviously with how fast he's running, I don't think he's in any type of save mode, but with the gap that he's built up, he could now start to try to save at this moment and maybe save a couple of laps here or there as that of James Lowe gets a little bit out of control next to Thomas Ogle holds on for now, but Zach, that's going to be the interesting thing of watching how this race evolves on how the drivers, who's going to make that audible move of this strategy didn't work, I need to change it, compared to those that are just sticking to what their guns were coming into tonight.
That is always the good question to have as a driver when you're sitting in the driver's seat is, you know, do I need to change my strategy up? Is this working out? Is this a bad play? And sometimes it's easy to make the wrong decision and just get yourself in the wrong strategy, and that could ruin your night completely. And when you're in the playoffs like this, especially an opener like round 12, the round of 12 is tonight, you cannot have a big issue with your strategy. So you need to have something that you can be confident in and not second guessing yourself. But that's a lot of times what you're doing as a driver. So it's a tough role to play, but that's how sim racing is sometimes.
Well, coming into tonight, again, 12 drivers made the playoffs. 4 are going to be automatically outside looking in on points. Some drivers were able to get some bonus points because of where they finished during the regular season. Some gained playoff points by wins or by bonus points to the draft throughout the season for themselves. And the drivers that are outside looking in, that's going to be Dylan Grimm down by 4 points to Kyle McCoy. Kyle Bowling is down 2 points to McCoy. Zach Kreitz is 1 point out, same as James Lowe being 1 point out from our top 8 in points coming into tonight. Kyle McCoy is our bubble driver, just 1 point over Lowe and Kreitz. Chris Worrell, the 6 machine, he's only back at 11. We have not talked about the 6 at all so far tonight in our first 36 laps. With that 6 being quiet, which is shocking. Usually he's one of those drivers that's always up front to talk about. Into tonight, he's only has a 3-point buffer over Lowe and Kreitz. And he needs to start searching for some speed because those drivers that are behind him are ahead and looking good so far.
That they are gaining points on him, and that's what he doesn't need. Is just going to get past the 3 of Christian Lawson and move himself up into the top 10, but he's going to have some tough drivers up ahead of him. You got James Lowe, his teammate, Thomas Ogle in 11, Diego Valle pretty far up the group in a 6. Just, I mean, he's trying to run him down, but you can see there off of 2, he about wrecked this thing. So it's easy to do right now, and he's definitely got to go forward, Sam.
Chris Worrell coming into tonight, he's got himself 7 top 5s, 10 top 10s, no wins, no poles. He certainly has had some pretty great runs. Richmond, Nashville Super Speedway, North Wilkesboro. I mean, it's his best finishes so far this season, as Washington getting a little bit of trouble outside of the exit turn 2. But Chris Worrell, some of his best finishes have been at the short tracks and similar tracks such as Rockingham. Just kind of shocked to see he's back in 10th place, but maybe taking in the knowledge, one of our bigger movers right now, tied with the likes of Scott Rickard up 6 positions. Just not the qualifying time he wanted. Obviously, if we get a yellow or maybe some strategy call moves, the 6 can be right back into it.
Looks like the 68 of Valle here as we jump up to him in 7th, right on the back bumper of the 44 Kyle Bowling. You also got Kyle McCoy, Dylan Grimm here, as this group is all stacked up. This is about a 2nd gap up to Scott Rickard, so a 4-man pack here is. Looks like the 68 closing in here, but also the 7 starting to get around Grimm, who's starting to struggle a little bit here.
Yeah, starting to struggle just a little bit, and it's around that time we were talking about tires are starting to fall off, and we're a little bit too aggressive. And it looks like for Grimm, starting to feel the pain. Now back to 5th place, and Kyle Bowling, as well as Diego Valle, drivers that can find some extra speed, especially Bowling. Bowling is surprisingly sneaky good short track driver. 44, expecting him to make this pass quickly and efficiently here in either now or the next 5 laps. And it looks like he got the run he was looking for, as Bowling almost all the way down to the apron, trying to go for the slide job move as Grimm defensively throws it down. The 23 keeps the position, just showing how difficult it is to make some passes here.
Oof, it really is difficult. As you can see, the 44 tried a lot there, but now this is going to open up the door for the 68. This is the tough thing when you're trying to make the pass and the driver ahead of you, but you have a driver right behind you. Half the time, you just open up the door for you to get vulnerable for that driver to take advantage. And now Valle going to try to make the easy pass around the outside, really the preferred way to do it, but just couldn't get the drive on the floor there.
Not only getting the drive, but at least keeping a nose on the outside. So forcing the 44 not to have the entry he's wanting, allowing Valle get the run, keeps it smooth, back in the throttle, and a big shimmy by the 44. And Valle now going to be up to 6th place, and now going to be back to down just 2 positions lost from where he qualified, as Bowling a little bit of a too aggressive on the center of the corner, going to lose some slight time, as behind them, Chris Worrell talked about how he needed to start advancing forward. Well, he's up to 10th and now aiming for 9th place on top of Silver.
Looking good, definitely doing a good job. I mean, he had that big scare off of 2 one of those times, but this car every now and then you'll have it as you see him sliding a little bit off of 2 or trying to make a pass on the oval, but doing a good job of making passes on the bottom, as you see right there. Didn't even have to make it on the top. That shows me that he's got some good grip. He's able to move himself forward 1 more position as he'll set his sights on his teammate alone now.
And I know, Zach, we were talking about this at the end of last night's race for WSSR. Sadly, we weren't really giving you that coverage of that race. But Zach, talking about this car in driver styles, it just seems like drivers throughout this season really have started to learn this car, and those that are just naturally quick are really showing their speed, like June White, Ross Tatum, Scott Rickard, Kyle McCoy. They are up in our top 4, showing that speed, while other drivers need to go to tactic play. It looks like that's where we're seeing Jason Grant and Andrew Hess right now.
That's where it looks like these guys are definitely going to have to do, is they're still about 9.5 to 10 seconds off the lead here from Andrew Hess, as he's got caught up to Jason Grattan here, but we'll see what strategy he plays, because you know, we talk about the 2-stop, the 1-stop strategy. If you're looking to do the 1-stop strategy, we're going to see drivers pit around 75 to 76. That's going to be their goal and their window to get to. Most likely it will be 75, just because it's going to be difficult to get there first off. But where that 2-stop strategy is going to open up is in the next 3 laps here. Lap 50, that's when you might see some drivers start to hit pit road, because they might not feel like they're very comfortable in saving the fuel.
And this is when things can get risky, as well as Jason Grattan into the outside wall for the machine. As Andrew Hess breezes on by 54. Other drivers struggling off the exit of the corner. George Kovacic and a couple of others, as Joshua, that of Rob Sherwood in the 22. Trying to just run his laps again, has missed out the majority of the season. Came back last week for Talladega. It's always good when drivers are able to come back later in the season and try to just survive. And the Rock is not the most enjoyable race to come back to. Speaking of drivers coming back, you got that Brian Shute, Brian Burchett. The Bryans trying to survive, and as well, Brian Lynch. Gonna be the 3 Bryans, 19th, 20th, 21st, as we have actually lost Nate Lynch in the 25, who's called it a night, and as well George Kovacic, both pulled it into pit road. We're down just 21 drivers out on track, and pit stops are underway. First driver to hit pit road, it's Dylan Grimm in the 23.
He was struggling, so no surprise to see him hit pit road immediately for that 2-stop strategy. It was Kyle McCoy right there we saw getting around Scott Rickard. So we'll see how this all shakes out. And while all this has been going down, I will say Ross Tatum brought it down to a 2.5 on June White. So he has closed the gap down, but if they're looking to do the 2-stop as things are getting wild, it's going to be close between these guys.
Big slip up in the center of the corner of 3 and 4 for Kyle McCoy. Almost came down and slammed in the 05 of Rickard. Rickard luckily continues to survive forward, but these drivers are feeling the pain on their tires, and that's why we're seeing some of the top contenders. Pit stops are on the mind as June White making the aggressive entry. Ross Tatum as well following in suit, and Tatum with the more aggressive entry. The 21 has completely cut down the lead that June White had. It's now down to just 0.2.
It really is. That was an excellent entry. Really an unorthodox entry from the 09 of June White. And, you know, very, very interesting one from him. But Ross Tatum with the classic entry late, and it worked very, very well as these two are battling for the lead now as they transition. And I can say this also, June White missed his pit box, and he had to back up Sam. So I think Ross Tatum may jump out to the lead here.
You know, Ross Tatum loving to see that. That any advantage is a good one, especially being ahead of June White, who got the pole, took off immediately, and the fight off of pit road, gonna be side by side. Ross Tatum's gonna have the advantage, and he takes the lead under pit road conditions. At one moment, it was almost 5 seconds difference between these drivers, and Ross Tatum under 20 laps, and under just a few laps in also pit road, the 21 should be what our leader is once this pit cycle goes through.
Oh Man, what a job by this 21 to do that. That was probably one of the best sequences of in and out of the pit road you could ask for the 21 team. And now look at June White immediately attacking him. But my thing is here, now if June pulls out that same, similar gap, how much can Ross Tatum close back down? Because now he's going to be even closer to where this run starts. Let's see how it works, though, because he's got to make the pass first off.
And that's the thing. We've not seen how June White has had to react with being behind another driver that has been at ridiculous speeds at full song. They also have lap cars, so you're trying to get by. As seeing the 22 staying high and allowing the faster vehicles to make their own maneuvers. This is the risky time for the drivers that have already come to pit road. All of them are still trapped one lap down. If a yellow flag were to come out at this moment, all these drivers would have to take the wave around and be at a huge disadvantage if we were to go back to green flag racing. As over the radio, Kyle McCoy saying he's hitting pit road. Diego Valle as well as Chris Worrell will stay out to try to lead a lap.
Interesting. Valle coming to pit road. I was surprised by that. I thought he was going to look to try to do the one stop with, how much he was trying to save there and lose positions, but it looks like Robinson and Worrell still staying out here. They're going to be the ones that are pushing it a little bit farther, as we definitely got to expect, I think, at least Andrew Hess to stretch this, Sam, because he was so far back.
He was so far back, and maybe for that Diego Valle, it was an audible call of, though again, there's a lot more other drivers that pitted that I was expecting to stay out with me. Instead, I'll have to come into pit road, minimize the amount of lost ground that I'm going to be giving up if I decided to stay out. And this is when the games begin to grow a little bit more, because you have to make that decision now. If you're gonna pit and go switch to that two-stop strategy, this is the last moment really to do it. Otherwise, you're staying out till lap 75.
Yes, you are, exactly. I mean, you cannot wait too long. If you wait too long here, you're just wasting time that you're not gonna catch back up. It's just not enough, laps in a run. If it was a 80, 90 lap run and you undercut someone or overcut them by 10 laps, you have a long distance to gain on them. But when it's 50 lap runs like this, you take a 10 extra laps that come down pit road, that difference could be the difference between first and fifth, really. I mean, it's a huge difference. So we'll see how it does shake out once everything does cycle through. But these other drivers just continuing on to hold these positions, as Ross Tatum and also June White are going to be catching up to the 6 of Chris Worrell, along with Dylan Grimm here, to unlap themselves very soon.
And unlapping themselves would completely save that crew and say, hey, their race is still alive if a yellow would come out. They almost were the cause of a yellow flag, as Joshua Robinson, not aware of the drivers in the closing rate behind, almost got clobbered by Dylan Grimm and others as they're able to continue on. And Andrew Hess could not make it to the halfway marker. He makes the pit stop here on lap 60.
Interesting call being made, and that with how much time he was giving up, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to save that amount of fuel, Sam. So we'll see if anybody tries to do it. Still, it's 5 cars yet to pit, as Hess came down that time. As now you see Grimm here, along with Ross Tatum, along with June White, all 3 of these drivers here coming by to unlap themselves, and that's huge, like you said, Sam, because if the caution was to come out now, at least they wouldn't be trapped the lap down, having to take that wave around on the old tires.
And they would equalize, get back on the same set of those who are lapping, continue to fight, as really they need to get by for Ross Tatum, June White, get by Dylan Grimm. Grimm is showing how difficult it is. Grimm has that of a 2-tire, older tires than these 2 behind him, and he's still defending greatly over this field.
He really is. And in front of him, the 54, I believe, that was, Andrew Hess, sideways off of 4 there on those cold tires, as he's going to try to get back up to speed. Luckily, we stay green for the sake of everybody who's under this pit sequence. But right now, Hess trying to gather it up. But yeah, Dylan Grimm, amazing job of defending so far for Ross Tatum. And you got to think, he's teammates with June White, so he's not going to allow Ross Tatum just to jump past him, because that's, not allowing June to take advantage of that.
Yeah, and if anything, it's kind of for Grimm. It's okay, work Ross, make him use up those tires. Okay, June, now you can attack once this 21 gets by, and maybe you'll have a better advantage attacking him after all that lost ground in those 5 laps coming to pit road, and then the pit stop errors by the 09. It just, again, a bizarre safe entry for June White, and then the mishap, and also now having his teammate not just giving up this position. This is some, not complete, team orders being given out. And it looks like for Dylan Graham, it is racing for his own, which makes sense. We're in the playoffs. This is all on you to go for a championship.
I think you said it perfectly, Sam. This is the playoffs. And Graham came in here 12th in points tonight. He does not want to be that driver going out tonight, so he's going to race hard here. And he also fell off pretty hard on that last run. That made him become the driver that pitted really the earliest of anybody's own. They just caught up to Brian Chu on the old tires, and you can see the closing distance. That got very, very close to dicing it for a minute. Is now June White. I think he's licking his chops saying, maybe this is my opportunity on Ross.
Getting it by Ross, who had a bad entry, but the exit too strong. The outside lane just carries too much momentum. But at this current moment, they're around 16.5 seconds off of Chris Worrell, which Worrell still has another 9 more laps that he needs to come across the line before he hits the halfway marker, which if he can get to the halfway zone, this is incredible to see by the 6, but he's going to need at least a 10-second gap to work with, maybe even a little bit more. But the 6, he's giving up so much time because of all the drivers who are trying to get by him.
That he is. He's just giving up a lot of time. And coming by a complete lap 68 right here, my calculations were about 69 to 70. So if anything, he's got 2 laps of fuel left if he hasn't saved. If he saved, we'll see how far he can stretch it, along with Joshua Robinson, who still continues on. Just these 2 yet to pit. I think actually Brian Chu's still trucking along too, also not yet to pit, but he's fell back to 8th. So 3 cars still yet to pit. See if they can stretch it to 75. Saying this is going to be intense because, if they can get to 74 at least, we got to equate that pace lap also. That can have a huge effect on the fuel also.
Looking at the drivers that have already made their stops from the playoffs and where they're running now, the driver that's in a lot of errors has got to be Thomas Ogle. As you're watching on screen, you can see it on that monitor. I mean, a lot of RPM changing, but pit road is the entry. Couldn't even get close to it. Banking on that yellow flag, it never did. And the 6 of Worrell hits pit road, and now it's in the hands of Josh Robinson, who was a driver that has been known to have a lot of speed. He's clutching it as well, but how many more laps can he take of this 30 machine? Because he's got to find, like you said, an extra 5 laps at a 1.5 mile course.
That he does, and that's going to be tough to do. So you can see him. He was clutching. He was saving fuel in each of these corners, and he's going to come by to complete another lap there. So that is 71 now complete on the 72. Let's see if he can do at least another 4 more laps. That's what I think he's going to need to do. It's going to be tough to see personally, but the thing I worry about most, Ross Tatum, June White, right now actually they're starting to battle a little bit for that 2nd spot. That those 2 are now just under 7 seconds back. I don't know if I think the 2 stops is faster overall.
Yeah, just the raw speed, you're able to not worry about giving up any time, and you're just tackling lap after lap and putting down burner after burner, and you don't have to worry. The only worry you have really is pit road. Are you gonna have a mistake there, like we saw from June White, that cost him the top spot of drivers that have already made their stops? And for Ross Tatum, he's taking that advantage and is doing a great job as Robinson stays out again. But the gap is down to 5.5 seconds. Each lap is about a second or more being given up. And for Joshua Robinson, he needed at least a 10-second buffer by the time that he hit pit road, and he has already given up way too much time. This one stop just doesn't look in the map to work out.
Yeah, in my math, Sam, it does not add up, that's for sure. So that's tough to see, because I think he felt like maybe this would have been a good call to make. But when you're in the playoffs, it's so hard to take a risk like this. Even though this has actually been a preferred strategy, I'd say actually 60 to 70% of the time this season has been the one stop. But I think just with the tire fall off you have here tonight, the way this is a 1 mile racetrack, there's just so much fall off that I think it's just a tough time. He's going to come down here on 75. So he's made it to the halfway point. That's great to see for him, but still, he's going to save fuel again on this next run to make it there.
And how much time will he have to work on building up that lead as Ross Tatum takes the top point over a 0.5 second gap over June White? That's the 21, trying to go back-to-back. One here at Rockingham last season, and trying to win for season 7 and lock himself into the next round of the playoffs. Well, thank you so much for joining with us. We're going to take our commercial break here tonight. Thank you so much for joining with us on Freaky Fast Broadcasting, watching the Stars and Stripes. round of 12. It's the American 150 at Rockingham. We'll be back right after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Basket can't defend. He's got the outside line for the second part, and he can't hold on.
Going the long way around. We're going to be 3 wide for the lead as they all come to the line. Who is going to take it in the end?
And here comes Lockwood. He's going to make the move to the outside. Quinn tries to force it off a little bit, but there he goes. It's going to be side by side through turn 1.
Will he be able to cover him off? He does. Weaving back to the left-hand side. Reynolds is trying everything. The kitchen sink is being thrown at it.
They're leaning on each other. Coming into turn number 3. It's going to be a drag race through 3 and 4. Coming back to the line. Here comes Frisch on the bottom. Richard's going to hold the inside. Tries to be the late breaker here. They're going to be side by side through the final chicane. They bang doors, but keep it clean.
As they're still 4 wide on the run down into the back straightaway. Demerit's looking for a line as well. What is going on in Michigan?
Novak into the fence. They're still beating and banging.
Oh
and to the line.
He is much faster coming through there. Is there damage on Challenger? Abramitis is ahead. There's going to be a race to the line. Who is going to get it?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stars and Stripes Racing Series. It's Season 7 playoff time, the first race of the playoffs in the round of 12 as we are here for the American 150. Stars and Stripes is presented by ButtKicker. Feel what you've been missing. Go get yourself Gamer 2 from ButtKicker. Instead of just hearing the sounds, why not immerse yourself with the sounds by feeling the rumbles and the tumbles of the vehicles? If you're watching a video, whatever it is, get yourself a ButtKicker to feel more immersed. ButtKicker, feel what you've been missing. And you might be wondering, what do you attach your ButtKicker to? Well, that's when you go head over to Next Level Racing. Level up your racing, get yourself prepared. Being in a racing rig makes you feel like you're in the real car. You can buy yourself budgeted racing rigs, or you can find yourselves more expensive ones to make sure that you feel like you're leveling up your racing experience. Thanks so much to the two major sponsors here for the Stars and Stripes Racing Series, meeting ButtKicker and Next Level Racing. My name is Sam. With me is Zach Hall. And Zach, this race, like normal here at Stars and Stripes, they're keeping it clean, they're keeping it green. There's been a couple of scares here and there, but now it's down to the strategy calls. The drivers are going for the 2 stops versus the 1 stop on who's going to get the win here tonight.
Yeah, the strategies are a little bit all over the place, but a little bit less on the 2 stops, or a little bit less on the 1 stop side of things. It's more on these 2 stoppers. And I think that's going to be the way to go. But the interesting thing has played out here during this run. See here, June White back to 3rd. Seems to be struggling a little bit on this long run. Scott Rickard closing up to him, along with Kyle McCoy. You know, very interesting to see because White had a 5-second lead at one point. I don't know if this track is going through a little bit of a change.
Could be the change of the track, could be the change of the fact that he had to drive behind someone first time of the night. When he was up front, started the race, and got that 5-second lead. He was all on his own, and there was just no one near him to worry about. And now that we've got a little bit more lap traffic, the drivers have gone through 1 green flag pit cycle, about to prepare for their 2nd for those that are aiming for the 2 stop. This race has kind of fallen in a position where those that are in the 2 stop are in a good spot for themselves, but now they got to think about when do you want to come into pit road. For those that pitted soon, earlier than others, such as Dylan Grimm in 2nd place, I mean, right now he's running well. I mean, he's in 2nd place. He's in front of June White, Scott Rickard. The 23's got to make that hard decision of, do I stay out as long as possible, or do I make an undercut pit stop to try to run down Ross Tatum?
I think personally, Sam, if it worked out like it's done so far from so well, I think he's got to stick to it. I think you're just wasting time if you don't pit. And I mean, yeah, pitting early, the consequences can be big. The caution comes out in that sequence. You could be one of those drivers having to take the wave on older tires, and that can completely derail not only that, but ruin your race. So it's going to be a decision to be made for him, but I think you got to stick to it, man. It's worked this time. He's got himself up to 2nd. I think when he pit from last time, he was almost in this, I think, this 7th or 8th position. So it's worked very, very well. I think you got to stick with it.
That gain has been great for the 23. The 09, on the other hand, under fire from Scott Rickard. Rickard as well as Kyle McCoy and the 30 machine. Now Joshua Robinson 1 lap down, but one of the few drivers that was able to make it to the halfway zone and able to try to turn this race into a 1 stop. Problem is, he's still trapped 1 lap down. He needs to be able to get by Ross Tatum before this next pit cycle goes through. But I think right now Joshua Robinson, Zach, with so much traffic he has to drive through, the way that his tires being burned up, this is looking like a lost cause. As our first driver to hit pit road of our playoff contenders for the 2 stop, it's going to be James Lowe in the 99 machine.
That it is, and that's a pretty early one right there for me, Sam. So very much an undercut strategy from Lowe, and maybe he's going to need it as he felt like maybe he couldn't get past the drivers. It's always, you know, when you see somebody utilize it, such as Grimm, maybe he saw Grimm and just said, man, look how well that worked from undercutting like that did. Maybe that's what he's noticed, and you'll go and try it. And sometimes that can backfire, but sometimes following what other drivers do and what you learn from can be the key to, you know, really getting the right strategy call going.
It's drivers over the radio, some apologizing over some hairy situations of Rob Sherwood kind of giving a scare to 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place runners. But now more drivers over the radio calling for pit road stops. Kyle Bowling's going to be the next driver of our championship 12 that hit pit road. The undercut seems to be a favorable position for drivers that are outside of our top 5 that are in the playoffs, because it's that game-changing moment. Like you said, Dylan Grimm did his. Grimm hits pit road. Ross Tatum hits pit road. Tatum not wanting to give up any time as June White stays out for an extra lap or so.
White going to stay out a few laps here with Grimm coming down. Scott Rickard and no surprise from them. I felt like they felt like it was a good idea to, hit this point right here, 50 to go. But White going to stay out, but look at the threat he has. This is Kyle McCoy, also Diego Valle not too far behind. We're going to have upwards of 6 drivers with a shot to win this race coming down today.
But can you make the passes? That's been the difficult thing of the night, of drivers trying to make some passes, and also don't make any mistakes under pit road. Junior White's hoping that he doesn't make a similar mistake like he did under his first stop that cost him a lot of time and positioning. And for the drivers racing out of pit road, Dylan Grimm, Ross Tatum are side by side off the exit of pit road, and Grimm was able to pass Ross Tatum under that pit stop cycle.
I wonder, did Ross slide through his box there like the 09 did before? I think that's the only logical thing I can somewhat come up with, is going back and looking here, Sam, and he did have to reverse. So Ross Tatum sliding through the box just a slight bit, and that little hiccup there caused him to lose a major amount of time. Dylan Grimm now in position to maybe win this race.
And now into pit road, gonna find Kyle McCoy all on his lonesome as Junior White stays out a little bit longer. Gonna have his teammate Diego Valle hunting behind. As now those two drivers stay out on track. And maybe it's a call of we need a yellow. So we have the fuel to stay out still for another 20 laps or so. So why not? If you feel like you need to make that audible call, you feel like you don't have the raw speed to pass the drivers in front of you, maybe on some luck might be the other call for these drivers.
I mean, very well could be. I mean, literally a caution waits around any corner, especially with different speeds, different tire strategies, just different things going on all around this racetrack. That's when your best opportunity is for that yellow. And we've seen a few guys on cold tires have a few issues. So don't not expect someone to possibly get a little loose and spin out here. So good call made from White here to stretch this run just out a little bit longer.
Diego Valle going to have the advantage of that of 5 lap extra tires, but they've been so long into this run, it's kind of plateaued into equal footing, as June White going to give that position easily. But they've got to be careful as drivers that got fresh rubber trying to aim and figure out how to get by our top 2 runners at this moment. We have 45 laps to go for the field here at the American 150 at Rockingham. When do you make this stop? Because it's going to be crucial as we're still waiting for that of 7 drivers to make their stop. There's still one, but Josh Robinson, who was aiming for the 1 stop, he's already made that 1 stop, and the 30 machine is currently battling for 5th place with Chris Worrell.
Yeah, he's battling with Chris Worrell for that position, and I look where he's at when the racetrack's in. That's my big thing here, is he's coming off of turn number 2 right now. Dylan Grimm crossing the start-finish line just that moment ago, so not that far of a distance between Grimm and Robinson on much older tires here. I mean, that's 30 laps on his tires compared to Grimm's 6 laps, so it's going to be a big difference. I expect Grimm to be caught up to his 30 pretty quickly.
As June White also has hit pit road, Diego Valle is entered his entry, and the rest of the field looking good. Not a lot of drivers caught with penalties for themselves here tonight. That's a good thing to see on not being caught speeding or speeding on entry. But those sliding through the box moments has been a tough spot here tonight. And Zach, I mean, Rockingham, very difficult, especially when you are up front after a good qualifying time. That curved pit box is so difficult to get into.
It really is. When it's sometimes interesting to say, certain pit stalls in those cornered pit roads like this can give you an advantage, a huge disadvantage, and sometimes just be outright scary, especially for sliding through your boxes. We've seen not only for the 09, but also the 21 Ross Tatum slide through their box, not only because their tires are old and worn out, but sometimes coming around those bends of those corners, it's tough to exactly see where your box is placed off to the left with all the pillars and stuff that's in the car. All those roll bars can be very deceiving as well. It's 4 up into the wall as world goes around them, but it's definitely a dangerous spot on pit road, and it's a place you can make mistakes that can definitely have an effect on your race.
Well, as it's now looking to be your run down to see who's going to be winning between Dylan Grimm and Ross Tatum. We're going to take our last commercial break of the night. Thank you so much for joining with us here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You're watching the Stars and Stripes round of 12, race 1, as it's the American 150 at Rockingham. We're going to step aside when we come back. We'll take it to the end of the race here at the Rock. Welcome back and let the drama reign. We've got a caution, ladies and gentlemen, that changes up everything for the front runners, as some have already come into pit road, trapped one lap down, and are going to have to look for a wave around. But this is what brought out the yellow. You got Brian Lynch, who's going to be squeezed between Grattan and James Lowe. Lowe gives the clip, and it goes around the 24, down into the inside wall, and just in a blink of an eye, we were thinking, under commercial break, hey, this race might be just down to Dylan Grimm, Ross Stidham, who's going to get the win. Well, this changes everything because the whole entire field that's under the lead lap gets to come to pit road. They get to use a set of tires and let the drama reign because it's going to be around that of 30 laps to go. And everyone's going to have a fresh set of tires. Welcome to Freaky Fast Broadcasting. If you're just joining us, this caution right in the middle of our second green flag pit stops for some of the drivers out there. And it is going to be a doozy for the last stint. Welcome to the show. If you haven't already shared, this is the time to do it. Get as many people out there because it is going to be dramatic because we've got some drivers that are staying out, some that just came into pit road. We're ready to give you all the action on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. My name's Sam Dyer. Zach Hall. Zach, caution strikes, and here we go. Let the drama, the fireworks start to fly.
Yeah, man, what a wild timing for that yellow there. Aaron Hale had that lead coming down the pit road. He's going to lose the lead, though, to Joshua Robinson, and looks like Christian Lawson the leader right now, but looks like he will be coming down, so that should, again, hand that lead over to Joshua Robinson here. And, man, what a position this has put the 30 and the 6 in, because both those drivers, playoff drivers, even James Lowe in 5th. I mean, Jason Grattan in 6th. I mean, he's not a playoff driver, but still, like, some of the positions some of these guys have been thrusted into. Aaron Hale, this has opened up the door for opportunity because, remember, we talked about passing has been tough. This is not the longest of runs, not really where we see that major drop-off point. It's really right at that when the checker flag will fly. So this should be an all-out push to the end.
Well, Jason Grattan looks like he'll be going to the end of the line, taking an audible call where he's going to be asking to just go back there. Doesn't want to be a factor of the front runners on old tires, but I'd love to see that call by the 8 machine as the rest of the field, like I said, Joshua Robinson, I mean, he was just looking like he was needing a caution to get back into this. Caution flag comes out, and James Lowe and the 8 make contact with Brian Lynch, and that actually helps out Lowe, who's now going to be in 4th place for this restart.
It really does. Lowe benefited huge from that as he had the near scare. And what was crazy, I mean, you had Grimm, Tatum, all of them right there with that wreck. So it could have been a lot worse than it was. All it's done right now is just shake things up when it comes to that. The person who's lost out really, in my mind, the most has got to be June White back in the 15th position, along with Diego Valle back in 11th. So those two major loss by staying out long there, Sam.
And I think that also another big surprise, Thomas Ogle, he has just fallen off a cliff after his first pit stop back at lap 50. He has just been going backwards, now all the way down to 19th position. He'll be trying to reset and get back up to this field as he had to take the wave around to get back onto the lead lap. We'll have 19 drivers on the lead lap. Brian Burchett going to be 1 lap down, 5 laps down is Brian Lynch, who's still in pit road. We lost George Kosick and Nate Lynch way back at the halfway point of this race when they called it a night. But up front, it's Aaron Hale as well as Joshua Robinson. Robinson has the control. Chris Worrell, James Lowe, we got some playoff drivers ready for a great restart here and another chance to fight. Into the restart zone, the American 150 is back underway. The first race of the round of 12. Let the drama reign as we're on lap 119 at 150.
Great start from the 30. The 4 there a little bit ahead into that zone. But the 30 gets a great launch. But here comes the 6 of Chris Worrell. Not won a race yet here, Stars and Stripes. You know he's hungry for one.
I mean, he was looking, searching. Talked about at the start of the race. He was so far. Oh, no, James Lowe, 99. Huge drift down on the apron, forcing the 05 into the outside wall of Scott Rickard. The rest of the field scatters as they continue to push forward the 99. Huge save, but oh, no, does that hurt Scott Rickard as well.
Huge loss of time for Scott Rickard. Dylan Grimm, not as big a loss of time, but also while that happened, Joshua Robinson up front, he got loose, lost the lead. That hands it over to Chris Worrell. Now Robinson back to 4th. Things are going sideways, and Diego Valle, who was once in 11th, he's up to 5th.
up to 5th, and a driver that's gained the most out of all of that. Ross Tatum up to 3rd. The 21, who was one of the favorites to win here tonight, was fastest on the long run, quick on the short run. Well, he needs to be great in the best right now, as Ross Tatum's trying to make the advance forward, but you see in the middle of the pack, it's going to be the 44 of Kyle Bowling up to that in 9th position, trying to make the pass for 8th. But he's got the 22 of Sherwood holding steady, and as well, a driver we've talked about all night long, the surprise winner from last week in Talladega, Zach Kreitz, cracks inside of the top 10.
That he does, and man, what a time to do that here, as you want to be closing out this race strong. Remember, Stars and Stripes no stage, so no stage points. It's all about the finish, so it doesn't matter where Kreitz was running before. It's all about how he finishes out. But Andrew Hess almost up in the Trey Jackson there. That was so close between those two. That 54 was on edge.
And he's still on edge. He was off of 2 loose, off of 4 loose, and watch out here. He's going to be out of control because the 54, the amount of heat that he's built up under a lap and a half has been dangerous to watch out for. And June White needs to make this pass. Same for James Lewis. Hess just throws it in the outside wall, doesn't want to collect anyone else, and you can just see how out of control these vehicles are feeling with the cold tires, and just one bad slip up changes the factor of the car from slipping and sliding because it's cold to now slipping and sliding because it's too warm.
The tale of 2 seasons for this 54, Sam. Well, I mean, what a classic run he had last season to win that championship was just amazing. It seemed like in almost every single race in the long run. This season, it's just never seemed to come together. It's had a few good runs here and there, but it just seems like the struggles have just continued to follow him track to track and continue when it knocked them out of the playoffs. There's now June White taking advantage. He's going to get past the 5 of Trey Jackson. Now moves him up to 11th.
Now these drivers try to advance their way forward. Scott Rickard had to come into pit road and get some tires for himself. It just was too much, wounded. Now 2 laps down to the 05. With fresh rubber, he's in the mix of up front. Jason Gratton in the outside wall as he continues to struggle. But our front runners, it is still Chris Worrell, Aaron Hale, then Ross Tatum, and Joshua Robinson is closed back into the gap as the backmarkers still continue to have their scares, but up front it is all on the 6. Worrell has to defend and try to game for that first win this season.
What will Hale do, though? That is the question. Non-playoff driver, what is he willing to risk? Will he ruffle some feathers? And what will his 6 do also to win a race? He hasn't won one like we talked about. He's willing to risk it all. This is going to come down to some rough battling here, because at some point the tires are going to start to slip up. We're going to see the driver who's managed it the best, but it's all about getting the passes done and defending well. Who's going to be the best at it?
I mean, for Aaron Hale, this Ford machine, he's gotten 1 win in his career, and that was all the way back in season 4 at Dover. He's gotten a total of 21 top 5s, 50 top 10s under his 108 starts in his career. Could tonight be the 2nd win ever in the Stars and Stripes for the Ford machine? Or could Chris Worrell go for history on his own, trying to grab his first career win in the Stars and Stripes in his rookie season? At first couple of races, it looked like it was against Worrell low on who was going to be Rookie of the Year. And this 6 proving tonight what a statement race it would be to win and you lock yourself into the round of 8.
It would be a huge statement for sure, and always great to lock yourself in a week early and give yourself some time to prepare. But right now, you better prepare, because there's a storm brewing behind him as Robinson's going under attack once again to Ross Tatum. And now look at Valle, big move from him as he sees the moment to attack.
Valle trying to take the first opportunity that he's had to push forward, because they recognize Dylan Grimm's on the charge. As Aaron Hale going to have a slip as he gives the opportunity for Ross Tatum. Easiest pass that 21 could have asked for to go move into 2nd position. And now Ross Tatum's got a little bit of space to work with to build the momentum and speed to run down the 6.
He's going to have some time, and like you said, he's got the space here now. So let's see what he can do with it. I think if you're Chris Worrell, that was the worst thing you wanted to see. You wanted to see that buffer zone of Aaron Hale right behind you to try to hold back that 21. Now you're going to have one of the fastest cars all night right behind you. And that 21 too, also running a different line. That's the one thing that's going to make him have some opportunities here. Is the 6 going to try to take that line away, or will he stick to what he has?
Huge contact off the exit of turn 2 for Aaron Hale. It gives another couple of positions to drivers around him, and Hale continues to fall backwards. But oh no! Whirl into the wall! That's a loss of time! Ross Tatum is there to the the outside's the 21. And for Whirl, he had a half a second gap lead to work with, and it all disappears in a quick second.
And the 21 got into the wall there in 1 and 2. That opens up the door now for Joshua Robinson. Everybody trying to pick up the pieces, but it's all falling apart here, Sam.
Top four now going to be within a half second of one another. Chris Whirl is hoping to pull away. He's got to stay off that outside wall, and Robinson's got the nose for second. Goes for the dive bomb move, hoping for the slide job off the exit turn 2. And any mistake from Ross Tatum, he throws it away. The 30 up to second now.
And we'll see, can he clear him down into 3 and 4? What does Ross have here as they slide up the racetrack? Robinson looking good, though, off the exit here as he's going to look to almost clear into 1 and 2, but just not going to be there. The thing I worry about for Chris Whirl, he's gotten to that wall once more again, and that right side damage is actually pretty considerable, and that will have an effect on this race car. It's just going to be, can he hold on here for a little bit longer?
It's going to turn into a snowball here if he keeps on hitting that wall for the 6, but we continue to watch the side-by-side battle for second place, because if Whirl continues to slip up, it could be down to that of the 21, the 30, or will it Diego Valle find an opportunity as Ross Tatum, great run off the exit of turn 4, keeps second place, the 21, huge slide off the exit of turn 2. It just feels like you're able to defend for one lap, but the next lap you make the mistake that makes you have to go back to the defensive.
And that is exactly right. All it takes is one mistake. You got to go defensive for a few laps, and then hopefully you do what Ross Tatum did and power off the outside of 4s. Looks like Robinson will do the same to clear Valle as these front 4 look to gather it up, but they got 2 more coming. This Dylan Grimm and the 7 of Kyle McCoy. This race is far from over as now the run down the back straightaway for the 21. It's just where will he find his opportunities? The 6 is going to be willing to close that door, I think.
Exited turn 4, and both wiggle, but Ross gets harder in the outside wall than anyone else. Able to keep the momentum because Robinson, Valle, they back up. Valle throws it down. Robinson into the wall, and it's all Whirl pulling away.
And oh man, it's all going sideways here as they're trying to find the room as Valle will clear the 30, and that's huge for him as the 30 almost into the back bumper him into 3 and 4, and these guys are willing to risk it as now the 30's loose here. Great crossover from Robinson, and now he's ahead of Valle in the 68.
Grimm says, beep, beep, it's my time to start moving forward. It's the 23 who's been the fastest of our top 7 the last 3 laps, now trying to aim to get by his teammate, but Valle doesn't give the space. Up front, Whirl now up to 4/10 over Ross Tatum. The slipping and sliding, the over-aggression, could it have backfired for the group that was putting Whirl on the back foot? Instead, it's all down to the 6, and oh no, Chris Whirl throws it away, side by side for the lead.
And he's just clear enough to stay in front, but he just rode all off of 4, Sam. He's flirting with disaster there, man, and if Ross is this close, he's going to give up the lead. He's lucky he had enough gap. We'll see, can he keep it together, because we're going to come to 10 to go here.
10 to go in the 21 and the 6. The question is, who's going to get the required damage first, because it's a mounting up system. Practically, it's like armor that gets chinked away each and every time you hit the wall. There's a bigger chance that you're going to get that required damage flag. It's going to force you into pit road. The 6 and the 21 are flirting with disaster, and as well, they're closing in on lap traffic.
That they are. That could play a huge factor here as the 6 has solidified the lead here. Looks to be maintaining for now as he ran a little bit better lap time, but his line is going to be taken away. He's been running the bottom, now going to have to go up top and cut down in front of this 18 of Ryan Chu, who's just trying to stay out of the way of these lead lap guys.
Ryan Chu going to stay down low, trying to give plenty of space to the rest of the field around him, and like you said, it threw off the line for Chris Whirl. Didn't get the exit maybe he was looking for, or saving his tires for just this little bit of a dash at the end as the laps continue to click away. 8 to go for Chris Whirl, and the gap at one moment was 8, about that of 8/10. It's now down to just a half a second or less as the 21 seems to be a little bit faster through 1 and 2, but it's 3 and 4 where Whirl, he doesn't care if he hits the wall. He's a lot more trusting on getting back into the throttle.
That he is, and very close again off of 4 there for him as he's using every bit of the racetrack, but he's starting to pull away. The only driver who's making headway on him right now is June White, who restarted back in 16th. He's up to 7th and fighting on the back of this group right here.
I mean, you've got yourself that of the Grim Roberts Racing team all in the mix. The troublesome part is that they're trapped in 4th, 5th, and 7th, but Grim trying to get by his teammate while Whirl is just trying to pull away. And this whole entire pack, first back to 7th, all within a second of one another. Just one slip up, and you got multiple drivers that will be involved.
That they will be, and here goes Robinson to the inside of Ross Tatum, and this is what World wants to see, is side-by-side action. Is Ross almost up into the wall? That's going to allow the 30 of Robinson to clear. Can Robinson go up here and have something for World?
And it looks like Tatum, he'll back off, and that gives the opening in the green light for the 68 to throw it down low. Grimm into the outside wall as he brushes his way through. Up front is Chris Whirl, up to 7/10 ahead of Robinson. But Robinson finally has the clean air to work with. With 5 laps to go, it's still a chance for the 30 to run down the 6. The big question is, can anyone pass the 6?
Wow, this has been wild racing right here coming down to the end. The 6 propelled into this position by the help of some pit strategy, but he's never looked back from there, as now he's seeing the group fight behind him, and that's what he loves to see. Is now even White in the 09. He's going to look to possibly get up into the top 5, and what a rebound that would be for June White, and huge for points.
Huge for June White, as they are looking for every little bit of speed, but they're getting boxed in as Chris Whirl continues to try to pull away, but it's down to 5/10. And I think for Robinson, he's counting down the laps, but the number is, oh no, big slide for Dylan Grimm down to the inside wall. They keep it off the wall as we stay green. But for Whirl, he's loving the fact of the gap that he has, because I don't think there's enough time for Robinson to close down this gap.
I really don't think so either, Sam. Here's just going to be 2 laps to go at Rockingham, but that was a considerable gain right there. If he keeps that up, he could be on the back bumper entering into 3. Let's see what they got as they're dicing it up back there farther, as June White's trying to go forward still.
For Joshua Robinson, Chris Whirl, this is a ticket to move on to the next round and not have to worry about going to Charlotte next week. As they come across the line, it's your Freaky Fast Broadcasting white flag, and Robinson throwing it down right there. Just needs one more good corner, but was that dash a little bit too much speed? He gets the better exit. Robinson has one more chance. He needs a great dive to get below the 6 machine. Throws it down, but Robinson doesn't have the speed. He needs a big slip up from Whirl. Whirl off the exit of the corner, keeps it off the wall. The 6, his first win, and booking the ticket to the Rockingham.
The best time to get a first victory is in the playoffs, and he's done it, Sam. What a job. He weathered a storm. We know it's hard to pass tonight, but we've seen passing be done. It has happened, but he weathered the storm and got it done.
Every single possibility for the 6 in the 30. They needed a yellow flag late. It came out, and it gave him a chance for a 1-2 finish, as they both were needing some massive points. And Chris Whirl, what a run to have for this 6 machine. Again, it was the short tracks where he was having so many good runs, and entering tonight, 7th in points, well, put him up to the top of the board in points going into next week. He's locked in, the pressure's gone, and now set. We're going to have that of ourselves. 7 other positions still to fill next week at Charlotte. Oh man, cannot believe Chris Whirl got it done. Congratulations to the 6 machine. For us of the booth, we will step away. When we come back, we'll talk to our top 3 and give you our post-race show here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the post-race show for the Stars and Stripes Season 7 playoffs, round number 12, the first race of the playoffs, first race of the round, and man, what a race it was. One of the best ones of the season, and certainly was a great show to watch. As we head to victory lane, we pull in the 6 machine of Chris Worrell, grabbing his first win of the season. What a time to grab it. Chris, congratulations. You booked your ticket to the round of 8. How are you feeling after this one?
What's up? Feeling good, man. Feels good to get the win, that's for sure.
That definitely does have to feel good, Chris, man. Congrats on that first off. But talk about, holding off that and weathering that storm that you had to, because you had a wall of drivers that were kept changing. It kind of felt like a ever-changing driver behind you, but man, you were able to weather it and hold on to that lead, even while taking down the wall a few times on 4.
Yeah, I know, man. I was mirror driving like a mug. Yeah, I didn't know what to do there. Wasn't too fast on the short run. Had really good long run speed, but so I just tried to keep running the bottom. Then I saw Ross come up, and he's just hauling ass on the top. So I was just trying to. The very second I tried to run the top line, I hit the wall coming out of 4. So tried to learn a lesson there. I ended up hitting it one more time, but thankfully they were hitting the wall too with me. So I think that helped me out a lot.
I mean, Chris, sorry to cut you off there, Chris. You can
you're
continue
good. I'll go for it.
I mean, Chris, you find yourself with this win. Charlotte's next week, but you really don't have to worry about it now. How are you feeling with the knowledge that you don't have to worry about next week's race anymore?
That's cool. I was looking forward mostly to Charlotte. That's one of my better tracks. Las Vegas and Charlotte are pretty good 1.5 miles for me. So really stoked for next week, but I'm just super glad I was in the right spot at the right time tonight. Yeah, it just feels good to get the win, get the monkey off my back, and look forward to racing next week.
Hey, we cannot wait to see how you're going to perform next week. Congratulations on this win, and now the floor is yours for any shout-outs.
The Moonshine Mafia, my teammates, Brian, James, George, everybody that runs the league, Freaky Fast broadcast, just everyone that's watching right now. Thank you guys. Aunt Mary, if you're still watching, hope you're doing well. Other than that, that's about it.
Well, that will be the 6 machine of Chris Worrell, the one driver that's automatically locked into the round of 8 now. Congratulations on this win, your first one of your Stars and Stripes career. We hope to see more moving forward. Enjoy this one, and good luck next week.
Sure enough. Thank you, guys.
Well, that will be Chris Worrell in victory lane as we run down to second place. We have Josh Robinson joining us in the 30 machine. Josh, man, how are you feeling? Because it looked like you were a sitting duck for majority of the later half of that race, waiting for a caution. Didn't look like your strategy call was going to work out, man. What were you thinking at the end of this race, trying to go for that win, and as well when that caution flag came out?
You say sitting duck, I say exactly to plan. No, that the end of that race there, that was fun. We had 5 or 6 guys just dicing it up. That was a blast to race with. Ross is always good to race with. Good to see the 6 up there. He's been there for a while, and good to see him pull home a win tonight.
It definitely was a great battle there, Josh. But we saw you again most of the night. You were having to save fuel to try to stretch that lap 75 point. How hard was it to flick that switch and say, man, I no longer gotta be pushing the clutch in. I gotta actually be driving this thing pretty hard now. Is it how long did it take you to adjust to that?
So it took a couple laps, but fortunately I was doing that probably about 10 laps before the caution came out. Obviously not on fresh tires, but I had stopped the fuel saving. I was good to go and just kind of running the race. So I was ready to go there at the end. When we came out of 4, what was that opening lap after we took the green for that 30 lap dash, I had a little bit of a computer stutter and I thought I was going to wreck the field. So I am super happy with the second place.
Hey, we're happy there wasn't a big wreck with that stutter for yourself there, Josh. I mean, coming into this race, you just had a 5-point buffer to work with. Now it grows slightly to go into Charlotte next week. How are you feeling about Charlotte next week and your hopes to move on to the round of 8?
Charlotte's a fun track. I love my mile-and-a-half cookie cutters, and so I'm excited about that. But this league is really good. You could one little slip up and you're qualifying 20th.
That's very true. Well, Josh, congratulations on a second place finish here tonight. And before we officially let you go, the floor's now yours for any shout outs.
Shout out to my team over at Team Spite. Pretty decent night for us. Shout out to the league admins, and thanks to you guys for doing the broadcast. These are enjoyable to go back and watch.
Well, this one was crazy to do. Hopefully you enjoy watching it back, Josh. Congratulations and good luck next week.
Appreciate it, guys.
Well, that will be your second place finisher in the 30 machine of Joshua Robinson as we fall down to third and talk to third place finisher, the 21 of Ross Tatum. Ross, I mean, at moments you look like the odds-on favorite. Late in that race, you were the one that had to make a charge, to have an opportunity to fight with Chris Whirl. It didn't work out, but still a top three. How are you feeling after the night?
Honestly, guys, feeling pretty good. Feels good to come out with a third there. I kind of burnt my tires up on that last run, just being a little over aggressive. But all in all, a fun night. I thought we were going to have to rename the track Rockingham at it for a second. But yeah, just bad caution there. I slid my box under caution or before the caution. So just still a little few mental mistakes I need to clean up for the rest of the year. But we'll try to get it figured out.
Yeah, that's definitely a good showing for you tonight. I think Ross, man, definitely had a ton of speed, and like you said, had one hiccup there on pit road, but also had a great pit stop also before that, with great execution getting onto it. So good race, I think, back for you tonight to start the playoffs. How do you think that builds for the momentum heading into this next race? You know, you built good points tonight, of course, heading into Charlotte, but does that make you feel a little bit more confident even heading into maybe the next round also?
Yeah, it feels good. I just, I haven't really ran that good in this car here the past couple of weeks, past couple of months, whether it's this league or WSSR. I just, I can't figure it out. And so it feels good to just come out and lead some laps with speed and not strategy. Obviously, I wish I could have won because Charlotte's a wild card and everybody's best track is Charlotte, seems like. So it feels good to get a top three. It feels good to talk to you guys. So we'll, hopefully I can get like 4 more of these the rest of the season and do it again.
We hope for that for you, Ross. I know it's these next couple of races, hoping to get that championship for yourself. But before we let you go, the floor is now yours for any shout-outs.
Thanks, guys. First and foremost, I think Will Bustler. I threw a different paint scheme on it tonight, but I forgot to ask Will for a new scheme. So sorry about that. But obviously, thanks to Will. Got to thank my teammates. Rob came out and raced tonight with us too. Josh, Will, and Jonathan. So thanks to those guys. Next Level Sim Racing, ButtKicker, all the league sponsors, Freaky Fast Broadcasting. You guys are the best. Can't wait to see what other stuff you guys come out with after last week's finish, which was wild. I'm sure that'll be the number one on the next video. Yeah, just thank you to everybody watching, and thanks to Nate and the league admins for everything they do, and just looking forward to next week.
Well, that will be the 21 of Ross Tatum coming away with a top 3 finish. Congratulations, Ross, and good luck next week.
Thanks, guys.
As that will be your top 3 drivers and interviews. We get ourselves prepared to look at the unofficial results for tonight's race, as the playoffs certainly brought out the drama and the action here tonight for Season 7. Race 1 for the round of 12. It's going to be Chris Whirl in the 6 machine, grabbing his first win of the season and first career win in the Stars and Stripes for the 6. Josh Robinson going to follow for 2nd place. Ross Tatum 3rd. Kyle McCoy in 4th. 5th goes to 09 June White. With Diego Valle, teammate, going to be in 6th place. Dylan Grimm going to be in 7th. Those 3 drivers almost able to make their advancement. Not able to. Only will finish in those 3 positions. With Zach Price in 8th. What a run for the 46. Needed points. We'll see where they line up heading into next week. Kyle Bowling's going to be in 9th. And finishing out our top 10, it's Rob Sherwood in the 22.
And as we look through the rest of the running order there for the unofficial results there, Sam, it's interesting to see 3 playoff guys outside that top 10. James Lowe, the first one there in that 12th position. We've seen him have that huge slide there and really, lose that race car there that lost him all of his spots. Then, of course, Thomas Hogle back in 16th. Just a struggle of a night for that 11 team. And then Scott Ricker getting caught up in James Lowe's slide there and put in the wall later. He's going to end up finishing 19th. So, tough break for those 3 drivers as they're going to try to have to rebound next week at Charlotte, and it'll be interesting to see what those points look like when we head there next week.
Next week should be a gem to watch. Who will move on to the round of 8 with some top contenders having some poor nights? This opens up the door for anyone. Could be knocked in or out, especially with Scott Rickard. I mean, he had himself a 19-point buffer coming into tonight. That buffer is gone for himself, and it's going to come down to who can just have a solid Charlotte run. Well, for tonight, thank you so much for joining with us as we take the weekend off. We'll be back to giving you more coverage. It's going to be our last week next week of giving you 4 races to cover because it's championship week for some of the leagues that we've got. As Monday night, we're crowning a champion for the ISRC Truck Series. Tuesday, the Full Send Racing Series get prepared on who's making the playoffs in the Xfinity car. Then on Wednesday, WSSR crowns a champion. Who's going to grab that one? Between Benjamin Nelson's dominant run and some of the other competitors, it's still wide open on who can get it. And then next Thursday, who makes the round of 8? Gonna be a good week of racing. Is that crazy to think? Our last week of 4 races to broadcast.
It really is, Sam. It's great. I mean, I look back to when all these leagues started back here, these seasons, and crazy to say that Monday night and Wednesday night are coming to a close next week. But man, we're still going to have Tuesday and Thursday night here, and Thursday night's just starting its playoffs, so it is playoff time. We are getting ready and rolling, and cannot wait to see who ends up winning those championships. So if you're one of those viewers out there tuning in, you enjoyed the racing here tonight, make sure you tune in on Monday and Wednesday if you want to see a champion crown and get to see, you know, how a championship event plays out. So and they'll give you a little preview maybe of what will play out here at Stars and Stripes. So it's definitely going to be a fun time for us. So make sure you hit that like, that subscribe, and that bell notification button, guys, so you can come and join us for all the fun.
You also heard it from Ross. We got other programs as well that are going to be released as our top 5 finishes of October might be also merging with November on who's got the best finishes of those months coming to the end of the season. Crazy to think. 2023, we got to cover 2 seasons for all the leagues that we had. And now 2023 slowly coming to an end for all the races that we cover here on Freaky Fast Broadcasting. Thanks so much to all those that watched here tonight, as we will be again back to more coverage on Monday night. But for us here this evening, for myself, Sam Dyer, for Zach Hall, Robert Moyer Jr., and everyone else here at Freaky Fast Broadcasting, thank you for joining with us, and we will see you on Monday night for our next Freaky Fast Broadcast.